thing that we saw them do so well, like when we do look at what they were able to do with this composition, was they know that they can switch the strategy, right? So it does become very malleable, especially in a best of 7.
Yeah, I mean, Wildcard Gaming have shown at least that they can play their Windwalker, Death Knight, Mistweaver into the Wizards and play for the long game. They were able to win on it, and they can also then flip to the Wizard Cleave if they need to themselves to try and counteract. But I would say overall, having watched this series now earlier in the day, is that the melee cleaves, I think, are stronger. Like, you should maybe be just playing the Windwalker, DK, Mistweaver into everything, even blind, when facing Method Black, because you can beat their Ellie Mage, and I think you can also beat... I would actually say that their Death Knight Demon Hunter is harder. I mean, Colo beat Sea-Doo yesterday, but every time he was out of mana, it was the last push. If he didn't die in the next 10 seconds, then Colo's team wasn't going to be able to win. So if I'm Method Black, I play Demon Hunter DK. I don't know why they would play the Wizards after the way that it went already earlier today.
How do you feel about the strength of Wizards right now?
I feel like, I mean, it looked like they had the edge, but it was such a small, insignificant advantage that it really didn't matter too much. One misstep in dampening from Swapsy, all of a sudden he goes down. One swap to Chaz later on in dampening, all of a sudden he can be overwhelmed by the triple maledict and the way of the crane. So I feel like it's a high-risk game to be playing anyway, and I think that they were focusing a little bit too much on maps. They were thinking, okay, we have a large map, well, we're going to be able to kind of just survive throughout that cleave, but I think the problem when they played that Wizard comp was that there really wasn't too much counter pressure, and that's really the big thing. When you have that counter pressure to force the Windwalker away, that's when you're really gonna get those drinks. So I feel like while they have the advantage, it's also easily exploitable, and I agree with Sid. I think Demon Hunter, DK for Method Black, and I think Windwalker, Mistweaver, DK for Wildcard Gaming, and then whoever wins that, that's going to be very, very telling for how the entire series will go.
We should also talk about the impact of this series over the entirety of the year. This is the 4th cup. It is the grand final in the 4th cup, so we're pretty progressed through this season. We do know that only one team from each region is going to get a berth into the finals of the year based off of the standings with points. So you really do want to be gunning for that. And then you go a step further, you want to make it into the top 4 to get to LAN. The team that wins the LAN going to be able to qualify. Then you get to the second LAN. I think it's the first place team and the second place team from that LAN are able to go. So we look at these teams, and they're kind of in that battle right now of securing whether or not they're going to be able to go to the LAN just based off of points, so they can feel very comfortable inside of that LAN environment. The thing is right now, Method Black has definitely pulled ahead. If you are a fan of Wildcard Gaming, you want to see them catch up sooner rather than later. And look, we are going to see our analysts be 100% correct on what is going to be broken out here in the blind pick.
Yeah, I think Method Black, they have to put their best foot forward, see what happens, let the chips fall where they may, and really challenge Wildcard Gaming here, who is going to be the ultimate cleaver. Looney getting gripped in already into a mana ref, Swapsy taking a little bit of pressure, and that's going to be the main strategy from Wildcard Gaming, likely going after Swapsy, denying him with this grapple weapon, which we see is already one of the talent choices one of these monks has picked up.
But with that Restoration Druid, if you're not switching targets, Life Bloom on Swapsy is very powerful at healing through single target damage, and I don't think it's going to be as effective as Colo running this grapple weapon strategy versus Sea-Doo's Restoration Shaman. So at some point, Wildcard Gaming are going to have to potentially go after Chaz, and this is why I was surprised to not see Method Black just play this composition much earlier on in their series. I think that they are actually favored. It's Wildcard Gaming that are on a clock. Once again, a good crowd control attempt here on Chaz to gun down for Swapsy, but not finding enough damage. And Blizzo has been really taking a ton of damage throughout this, having burned through most of his personal defensive lineup. And now they managed to get Chaz into the fight, and this is what they need to do, is go after the Restoration Druid. We saw that succeed against Sea-Doo. Will Chaz fall in game 1?
Yeah, he definitely could, in a little bit of trouble as he gets rooted. Nicely done there by Blizzo, keeping him rooted up there as Chaz tries to escape. Blizzo and Zeepai still all over him. Swapsy and Raikou, they're going to have to try to back him up a little bit in this situation. Chaz could be in some trouble, definitely. But Blizzo also feeling a little bit scared without a touch of Karma, without Life Cocoon to really fall back on. Blizzo is a very exposed target right now.
Yeah, the pressure for Method Black is much higher than that of Wildcard Gaming, and they are not doing the Train the Druid strategy. They're playing much more conservatively and doing Death Grip stun swaps, which is better than just tunneling the Death Knight for sure. They need to spread pressure onto at least 2 targets so that Chaz has to move his Life Bloom around and expend more mana. Perhaps they can win on mana, but they're being overwhelmed right now. Looney gets gripped in. He pre-Life Cocoons the incoming stun, but then they just switch to Looney, having seen that defense activated. Good reaction from Method Black, forcing even more momentum on their side. If they can get a defensive way of the Crane, Looney's going to tap out his mana rapidly, and as soon as he's out, he can't access that huge damage increasing ability, and as soon as that happens, Method Black will just overwhelm them. Looney has a tough decision. Does he go for it? He would like to get it aggressively and defensively if he can, but he's just pulled away from the fight, caught in the stun, pre-fortifying Brew on that incoming attempt, then able to Transcendence out of the fight. We see Grapple Weapon kill attempt on Swapsy, but really not enough damage, and that's just the effectiveness the Druid brings in this matchup.
Yeah, and Swapsy actually running Death Pact as well, so at any point he can give himself some artificial health that could potentially keep him alive. Chaz has a moment to heal through a lot of that fake health that Swapsy will have available, and I think it's a good adaptation to keep himself alive. Chaz under fire with no trinket, could be very vulnerable. He needs to try to escape. Looney just charging in. All 3 members of Wildcard Gaming trying to pressure down Method Black right now, overwhelm Chaz. He responds with the Iron Bark, still trying to kite away. Now Looney vulnerable, rolls away. Life Cocoon was used, and Looney will survive with that Life Cocoon, potentially having to run away. Swapsy getting swapped to, taking quite a bit of burst as well. Method Black falling behind a little bit here.
Yeah, finally Wildcard Gaming switching targets and building momentum for the team, but Looney's been maybe overstaying his welcome, playing quite aggressive, now able to Transcendence to safety. Blizzo could get swapped to. He's got cooldowns to trade though, and he should be gladly exchanging them. Want to see more attempts onto Chaz. He's definitely the vulnerable target for the team of Method Black before dampening. Blizzo taking huge hits here from Method Black, opts to just trade Touch of Karma and make this risky situation no longer a risky one. Swapsy gets bursted with the 2 members of his team in crowd control unable to assist. No grapple weapon opportunity just yet. Looney playing it patient, far off in the wings. I'm wondering when he's going to move in and try and execute for a kill. Got an opportunity here with Chaz having no Gladiator's Medallion. If they can grip him in and get triple stun, Looney gets gripped in first. Method Black are going to secure Mana Rift on the end of that stun, trying to build a mana lead, but surprisingly, Looney is actually very far ahead and playing very smartly with his mana, holding on to Way of the Cranes, not using them on cooldown as we saw Colo and his team. Looney's just waiting for the perfect opportunity. If they can deny Chaz from regenerating mana, they could also win in the late game. Imprisonment onto the Way of the Crane. Looney trinkets, but he trinkets into a stun. Good denial by Raikou, a double stun as well. No Mana Rift to pair off, but this Way of the Crane will connect. Touch of Death has been committed as well. And Zeepai is going after Chaz, so they're trying to attack 2 targets at the same time. This way, Chaz has to make a tough decision on who he uses his Iron Bark on. Also has to spend a lot more mana healing 2 targets. Wildcard Gaming, they've established that mana lead. Now with just a little bit more coordination, I think they're going to take game 1.
Yeah, as long as Chaz isn't able to sneak away for a drink. Looney's been the main person shutting him down, and now Chaz actually recovering a lot of his mana. Mana Rift now secured onto Looney once again, and things are looking decently better for Method Black, although Chaz didn't get much of a drink there. If Wildcard Gaming can continue this pressure onto Swapsy, onto Raikou, and Chaz when he gets aggressive, this is going to be looking good for them. We've seen the Mistweaver out mana these Druids in the past. That's definitely something favorable in this matchup for Wildcard Gaming. Looney just has to be able to survive a little bit longer. Good pressure here onto Swapsy. Grapple Weapon denies a lot of his own healing. Looney getting swapped, though, has to potentially run away on his Way of the Crane. That would be a disaster. Wants to get out as much damage, and therefore as much healing as possible with that cooldown, but the imprisonment denies, and now Looney's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the imprisonments of Raikou have been key to their team staying in the fight as mana evens out at nothing with dampening entering the battle. This is going to be ending soon, I do believe, and I would say that it's now more so in favor of Method Black as Looney attempts to make an escape. Chaz pushes forward, and Method Black look to reverse game 1 and swing it out of the park here. Looney trades Life Cocoon, managing to stay alive, nailing a double stun, triple crowd control as Wildcard Gaming continue to just struggle to get a kill. Raikou gets swapped to and bursted. He's got Darkness to exchange should he need it. Iron Bark appears to be enough. Looney trying to escape, gets stun locked. They actually used the grapple weapon on Raikou to deny the kill on Looney during that stun. Good mid-game adaptation, realizing that it's unlikely they're going to kill Swapsy anytime soon. They need to focus on just staying alive at this point, denying a lot of Raikou's damage. Swapsy now caught into a stun. Chaz gets interrupted. Good crowd control throughout Wildcard Gaming. Nice Ring of Peace on the follow-up cast. Paralysis to interrupt the next. Darkness has to be exchanged for that great crowd control chain that was initiated onto Chaz to deny a kill, and it's going to be a race to the finish here, and it's still too close to call.
Blizzo commits the Touch of Death and Touch of Karma. Swapsy getting lower. Chaz doesn't have any mana left to work with. That Life Cocoon for Looney is the safety net that potentially Wildcard Gaming really needs. Asphyxiate stun on Chaz into a paralysis. The crowd control sitting. Now Swapsy getting low. No Death Strike available. Is he going to be able to hold on? Wildcard Gaming looking to close out this game, make the final push. Take down Swapsy, but he's managed to stabilize. Death Strike now available without that grapple weapon, but Chaz just can't top him off.
I mean, Swapsy is really floundering here. Chaz has no mana, no defensive cooldown. Swapsy could fall at any moment here, but so could Blizzo, who will fall first. It looks to be Swapsy, and Wildcard Gaming takes game number 1 over Method Black. I was starting to think that Method Black were going to be able to do it, but nope. And that blind pick could spell trouble for Method Black for the rest of the series.
Wildcard Gaming are obviously, this is a team that's fantastic. They've looked very good throughout the entirety of the season, but today, it does seem like, I think one of the important things, Zico, that we get out of that other series, we're 2-0, even before we get out of that other series, and I go, does this look the same as it usually does before we see potentially a reverse sweep happen or something like that? And you're like, nah, it does seem different, and now we're going to have 2 more games under the belt, and once again, they're looking fantastic.
Yeah, and it comes down to, again, Wildcard Gaming, they hold on to Looney's mana. There is a significant playstyle difference in what Wildcard Gaming are able to do here compared to Never Lucky yesterday, and one of the big differences is that Looney actually doesn't play the grapple weapon. Blizzo instead is playing that, so they opt out of a little bit of the Windwalker's offense, and then they give some of that defense more towards the Mistweaver, and in true Wildcard Gaming fashion, they still play this composition with this offensive style, but they try to take it in a more defensive manner, try to drag on the game a little bit more, and it works out for them. They manage to out-mana Chaz on that Resto Druid because Chaz just has much more inefficient healing before dampening especially, and that allows Looney to not push in necessarily with the Way of the Crane all the time, but when he does, it really does net them a lot of mana on the side of Chaz and a lot of cooldowns as well from Swapsy.
Yeah, what do you think of this matchup, Sid? Obviously, it's something that we have already seen, but now that we get to put it under a microscope yet again, we're learning even more about it.
I think on a bigger map where Chaz can more likely reset his mana, that it'll go in favor of Method Black, but Nagrand is still relatively large, so I was surprised to see them lose because it felt powerful overall, and Raikou's imprisonments denied the Way of the Crane pushes. They kept control of it, but they just got overwhelmed on mana and overwhelmed by sustained pressure. It wasn't even necessarily just the grapple weapon, almost gimmick counter comp style play there. It was just consistency on top of that that really allowed Wildcard Gaming victory. So maps are going to be important here, and in a best of 7, there are just simply less big maps than there are small ones, which is not good for Method Black.
Yeah, I mean, when you do look at Method Black, you know that they have a strong composition. It's given many teams a nice Sunday off to relax. But when you look at Wildcard Gaming, they have figured out this comp even more so than what we did see. You bring up the idea of the grapple weapon, of trying to make this DK a target. You talk about how Shaman is going to come into play, but then all of the sudden, when we do see it here, it is on a whole other level. They're able to play it much more into their play style as well and find victories with it that way.
Well, just like we've seen, the Mistweaver outmanas the Restoration Druid unless the Restoration Druid can get away, get that Night Elf racial off, go for some drinks. But if you can deny that, keep up consistent pressure in the game, it forces Chaz's hand. He has to stay in combat, can't go sneak away for those drinks to recover his mana, and he basically will eventually run out of mana, whereas for Looney, he's able to hold on to it for a little while longer. Even with using the Way of the Cranes, throwing in that additional damage, he still had that mana lead over Chaz, and eventually Chaz just had nothing left in the tank, and they were able to take him down.
I think it's important that we talk about Mistweaver right now in the meta period. Zico, where does it actually sit, especially after the nerfs that we have seen go out to Druid?
Well, I think Mistweaver, it's starting to look like one of the best healers, potentially the best healer here. Resto Druid for sure has been holding that position, but with the recent mana changes, maybe Mistweaver is taking that spot. We already saw the Pumpers win the last weekend tournament before these changes with a Mistweaver, so that we've always known that Mistweaver is that good. But I think a lot of it comes down to if you can play with those wizards and kind of push teams back and allow for those drinks, the Druid is always going to have the pretty much highest single target healing. The Mistweaver, though, is going to have high single target healing, and in addition to that, very mana efficient healing compared to the Druid. So as long as you guys already mentioned, the Druid doesn't get away and is allowed to drink, the Mistweaver should be able to out-mana him. And I'm curious to see if we might see Chaz jump on his own Mistweaver in this matchup.
Maybe they go for a mirror.
I don't think they will go for a mirror, but I think they might go for a DK DH Mistweaver.
Yeah, they could, definitely.
And just spam mana burn and essentially play the same thing, but with a Mistweaver, and not be in that situation where they have to drink. That could be something that could happen.
Yep, we brought up how important map was going to be, and now, Sid, we're going to see one of your favorites, Ruins of Lordaeron. How is this going to change the tide of the series?
It's only my favorite when it's the last map, okay, Rich? It's not just...
It's all of our favorite when it isn't the last map.
Everybody at home, too, but...
But what do we think of this map here?
I'm wondering if Method Black have a cleave that they could run that just kills a Mistweaver. There are like really high mobility melee cleaves you could just run down the Mistweaver monk. That's been done in the past. Rather than this stall bait, I don't think they have it. I'm trying to think of what they do have in that regard. Maybe even a Warrior Death Knight instead. Something along that. If I'm just speaking compositionally and not really regarding what they have prepared, I think a Warrior Death Knight wouldn't necessarily be a terrible pick, but I think Chaz might be forced off Druid at some point in this series unless they want to run the Wizard Cleaves, which still weren't looking that good even on their most opportune map. Ruins of Lordaeron tells me that Method Black aren't sure what their best line is, and they might be experimenting with something in this game.
When's the last time we saw Waz?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. I think...
Have we seen him this weekend? I'm actually just curious. I don't think we've seen him this weekend, right? So maybe he has a few new classes.
Well, I know what Waz plays. He has, obviously his Rogue is his main, but he also plays Windwalker, he also plays Druid, and he also plays that Warrior, of course. So potentially, but I think they're going to try the DH, DK, maybe swap out a healer on Chess to the Mistweaver because he does play it as well, or just stick with the Druid for one more match.
Yeah, how do we feel about just sticking with the Druid for one more match? I do kind of like Sid's idea. I think he's onto something.
By bringing in the Warrior, you mean?
Maybe bringing in the Warrior, maybe just going for a composition that does really focus on Looney.
Well, I think we have seen them do that in one of the cups where they played DH, I think it was DHDK, but they played with the Holy Pala and they just went all in onto the enemy healer. So it has been something that we have seen occasionally from Method Black, but I think you're going to need a smaller map for that to happen. I don't mind that they play this matchup one more time to kind of feel it out because it was a close game still. Looney was out of mana, so was Chaz though. And I think if you play it out one more time, maybe do some mid-game adaptations, that could potentially net them a win. It's not always ideal to change composition. However, if they lose this one, I would like to see maybe Waz on the Warrior, or at least Chaz swap off that Resto Druid to maybe his own Mistweaver and see how that goes.
Chat wants double Destro. I don't think we're going to get it. Probably not at all. Probably not at all today. But yeah, I think it's interesting to start to question what does Method Black have. Maybe they are going to be the team to switch it up. But now that we see everything on Ruins of Lordaeron, Ben Ruki, what do you expect to see happen?
Well, I don't know why Method Black decided to go with the small map. We were kind of talking about how the large map would allow Chaz to escape and potentially go for drinks, which we know the Restoration Druids kind of rely on to keep up with Mistweavers and mana. So bringing it to the small map doesn't make a whole bunch of sense to me. Potentially Method Black could be looking to run down Looney. It was difficult before. If Looney ports behind the pillar, they make it really difficult for Swapsy to actually chase him down. On this map, there's not as many efficient places he can run and hide, so they'll have to do a really good job kiting and maybe not be able to stay in their face nearly as much as we saw in the Grand. That might be their line of thinking. For Method Black, another comp I was thinking they could run is Windwalker Death Knight with the Holy Paladin we kind of talked about, especially on these smaller maps. It does give you a nice little edge to run down the Mistweaver Monk if you have to. Yeah, I mean, maybe we could just get in chat and actually ask Waz what he thinks about this series. You know, he's been hanging out in there for quite some time now. Maybe he can put a little bit of insight onto this one. It's one of those questions of just when are we going to see Waz? And it's so good for Method Black that they
don't have to use Waz. Not because Waz isn't one of the best players in the world, because he is. He straight up is. And you pair him with everybody on the team, and the talking point really used to be you take the 2 damage dealers on that team, and he can pair both of them up with Waz, and they look really strong. But where was the synergy between Raikou and Swapsy? We were shown that we were definitely wrong about that. That synergy is there, and it has been the winning recipe for this team so far this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And to build a little bit on what Van said with the Transcendence positioning on this map, the side of the starting room, like if you go to the right, you can actually see, to the right of Swapsy right now, you can actually position there as a Mistweaver and then teleport into the room. You also have double Ring of Peace, so you can potentially lock the door to that room with those Rings of Pieces, and you can actually kite fairly effectively still as a Mistweaver on this map.
Yeah, who is Method Black going to go after in this matchup? It looks like it could be Looney. Swapsy getting disarmed. Can't play too aggressive here. A lot of counter pressure coming in from Blizzo and Zeepai. Touch of Death gets activated. Chaz is forced to trinket out, throw out the Iron Bark to keep Swapsy afloat. And now Looney, he's in a lot of trouble. He's committed everything. Trinket, as well as his Fortifying Brew. Way of the Crane gets imprisoned. The only thing he has left is that very powerful Life Cocoon, but trading out everything so early on is looking scary for Wildcard Gaming.
Runes of Lordaeron, an aggressive pick selected here by Method Black, and it does appear to be that they want to put more pressure on Looney, although now it looks like he's able to escape to safety. Blizzo is getting cleaved down, and that's the main thing that you want to focus on if you're a melee cleave. You want to be attacking targets while walking to your primary one. So if Looney is the primary target, you attack Blizzo while moving your character towards Looney. You don't just stand still and attack Blizzo. This way you can make it difficult for Looney to avoid getting swapped to. He's going to have to move, which reduces his healing, and that's what we see right now from Method Black. But in the meantime, Wildcard Gaming pulled the trigger on an offensive push, gunning down Swapsy with a stun into a grapple. Great combo chain, but denied by Chaz's Iron Bark.
Yep, and Looney's looking very healthy now. He's able to stabilize. He has his port in a good position. You can see behind that little gravestone. I think he actually has it positioned even further away because that's Blizzo's Transcendence right there. So he's going to be able to port away, create a lot of distance when he needs to, and as long as Looney's playing safe, things are looking good already. Wildcard Gaming establishing a mana lead, although not huge. Still, that it will add up, especially later on in the game. Blizzo looking for some pressure onto Raikou and Swapsy, but outside of their offensive cooldowns, those offensive pushes, and the crowd control on Chaz, I think Swapsy and Raikou should be just fine.
Looney locked down in crowd control, maybe looking to use Way of the Crane. I think it's likely that he's saving Mana Tea, which reduces the mana cost of his spells. Most importantly, that Way of the Crane, as it is so expensive. So Looney won't be able to Way of the Crane every minute, but he can every 1.5 minutes, and that's what he's waiting for. Playing more efficiently on mana and still banking that as a possible win condition later in the game. Looney definitely skill capped here on that Mistweaver. Now going for the kill, Way of the Crane grapple combo. Nice timing by Wildcard Gaming. Just a tiny bit more damage to put Swapsy over the edge, but it's not there. Chaz denies the kill once again.
Yeah, with the Iron Bark, but using a bit of mana as well. Looney falling a little bit behind. Mana Rift starting to add up for Raikou, and if they can consistently land these, it's going to be scary. Looney ports out. A little bit of a mistiming there for Raikou, unfortunately. Now a stun onto Chaz. Swapsy's still low. This could be the death pack. There's not a lot available. Darkness gets dropped out by Raikou, but still, desperation mode for Method Black. Very nice Ring of Peace from Blizzo. Forces Swapsy out of the safety of that darkness. As they make an attempt over onto Blizzo, he trinkets out. Life Cocoon gets traded out as well. Looney just looking to avoid as much damage as possible. He wants to keep his team aggressive here onto Swapsy.
It's a very back and forth series between these two teams. They have been competitive rivals for years now at this point. Wildcard Gaming, formerly XRB to the moon. Will they finally be able to break the curse and take Method Black out in the grand finals? They've just been unable to in the final stages of any tournament, and this is now a good opportunity for them to do so. They're so evenly matched. They've got good pressure here in game number 2. They might be moving up to game 3. They interrupt Chaz. Do they have anything afterwards? They need more. They've got the paralysis. Anti-magic shield denies a bit of damage for Swapsy. Chaz gets out of crowd control. Looney's pushing forward. I'm wondering if he's looking for a leg sweep. Ring of Peace to try and bounce Chaz in the fight. Chaz able to bounce to safety. Looney getting pulled back in. Way of the Crane, though, could be a huge push. Looney trinkets. They know they need to get a kill in this 10-second window. Can they get Swapsy down? 9 more seconds away from it. Doesn't look like they've got the damage to do it. 6-4, 5 more seconds away from it. Chaz is crowd controlled. They just need to connect. The grapple weapon denies the death strikes. They still got Chaz out of the fight for another second. They have to take him out. It doesn't look like they've got enough to do it. Swapsy getting healed now with those regrowths and stays alive once again.
Yeah, Death Strike regrowth will keep Swapsy relatively stable, but still not topped off. Looney forced to play a little bit defensive now. Blizzo could be in some trouble. No touch of Karma available. Likely soon gets traded out. He does have the touch of death, which he trades out onto Swapsy. Chaz responds with the Iron Bark immediately to slow down some of that burst damage. Leg sweep onto Swapsy. He trinkets out, wants to continue to use his Death Strike if he can. Now does not have that trinket available to get rid of this grapple weapon a little bit later on. Onto Swapsy, still burst damage coming in from Wildcard Gaming. A lot of pressure here from Raikou, establishing some decent counter pressure for his team onto Blizzo and Zeepai. At some point, they might have to run away in this matchup, and that's really the first time we've seen that in this game.
This could be the day for Wildcard Gaming to prevent the Method Black world domination that they try to secure every year in terms of points. Currently the highest point earners across the globe. Wildcard Gaming are in second place, really looking to overthrow the kings of that ladder. Can they do it? They're starting to fall behind to Method Black. Blizzo with limited options to stay alive, but on Ruins of Lordaeron, it's basically do or die. Very risky choice on Method Black's part, but it is going to put pressure on Wildcard Gaming as well.
Yeah, Method Black, they need to start getting some momentum in their favor. Against Wildcard Gaming today, they are down 0-4, so they can pick up this match. It's going to be very important for not only their score in this match, but morale, as it seems like Wildcard Gaming does have their number today.
Oh.
Double leg sweep coming in. Chaz caught in crowd control into a paralysis. Swapsy getting stunned up. Raikou denies with the darkness. Darkness is going to get denied with the Ring of Peace, but Swapsy's able to use his Death's Advance to get back into that safety of the darkness, avoid a lot of this incoming damage, and get stable.
All right, Swapsy able to save that Death's Advance for that critical moment to stay in darkness and immune the knockback effect of the Ring of Peace, which would have otherwise been checkmate for Method Black. Swapsy's defense always solid. You can count on him for one thing in particular, that is to never die. But eventually he could be overwhelmed here with this composition that Wildcard Gaming have crafted to slaughter Death Knights. Blizzo gets counter-pressured. Touch of Karma at very low health, redirecting the damage now onto Swapsy. Chaz has to trade, but even still, he's almost completely tapped on mana. Touch of Death gets activated. Blizzo wants to get the kill here and now. Huge hit, all three members of Wildcard Gaming. They've got one more Way of the Crane push left in the mana tank. They could find a kill. They've got 30 seconds to do it. Maybe they don't even need the Way of the Crane. Swapsy's going to fall here in game number 2. Perfect execution. And if there was a day for Wildcard Gaming to take down Method Black, it's looking like today.
Why does Swapsy run why does Swapsy run Relentless?
So he's running human, so he can trinket out of a stun with his human racial, and then he has the Relentless to reduce the remaining stuns as well as that disarm.
Okay, all right, cool. Sounds good, but didn't look very good. We're going to see Wildcard Gaming go on an absolute tear here. What's the story? Why do they look so much better today than they typically do in this matchup? Obviously one of the top teams, but Method Black has outclassed them quite a few times.
Well, it just seems to me like Wildcard Gaming has way more offensive pressure. They're just doing a lot more damage than Looney. He has to expend less mana actually healing up that damage that Blizzo is taking. But on the flip side, Chaz has that mana rift on his side, so that's why the mana ends up being so evenly matched. But once both healers are kind of running dry here, that's when you can look to see that Way of the Crane push and that CC chain as well just be so effective. Chaz doesn't have his trinket. He trinketed out of a paralyze earlier. There's a second paralyze because you have 2 monks. Full leg sweep as well. Disarm for the death strikes. It just looks like every time they make those CC based pushes, they net so many cooldowns, and they have enough mana on that Mistweaver to last long enough to be able to actually take down that DK. So this is a compositional swap for sure for Method Black coming in.
It looks like it's going to be. We're going to give them a few seconds to figure it out, but this best of 7 may be over before we know it.
Up to Waz to make sure that he's getting out a lot of consistent pressure, and also Chaz to really help Raikou land the crowd control he needs on Looney for them to take someone down.
All right, well, Wildcard Gaming is trying to get on match point here. We're in the grand final for EU, 120 points on the line. It is a best of 7 as we enter Ashmane's Fall.
Now, the Pumpers who took the tournament last weekend play a very similar composition with a Warrior instead of a Windwalker, and changed my mind when Poike's team was able to eliminate them in the offline rounds. And when I spoke to Valet, he said the main reason they were able to do that is that they improved their Rogue Mage to overcome that Warrior Death Knight. Now, the Windwalker might be a bit better than the Warrior in this specific matchup, but it is a similar parallel in that matchup, and I'm very curious to see if Waz can be the X factor for his team.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we've seen Waz on Rogue for quite some time, so definitely a pleasant surprise, a welcome change. Polymorph now secured onto Looney. Blizzo could be in some trouble, activating the Touch of Karma. Wants to continue this offensive push onto Raikou. Chaz actually looking for a lot of Cyclones in this matchup, has exposed himself to a paralysis. This could easily be the first Ice Block from Raikou.
Temporal Shield seconds away from bouncing Raikou back to full health, and there it is. Raikou healed back up to safety. Maledict attempt here onto Blizzo. Windwalker's definitely not a big fan of being a target
nice
against
interrupt.
Rogue Mage. Perfect timing by Raikou. It's almost like Method Black have never even stepped off their Rogue Mage, having seen so much Demon Hunter Death Knight from them. Blizzo in the meantime portaling over, trying to deny Chaz from drinking. Waz gets swapped too. Good swap here by Looney and Zeepai, trying to create pressure in multiple places and throw Chaz for a loop. Now we see a swap onto Looney by Method Black. Both teams really throwing big curveballs.
Yeah, Waz using his Shadow Step. Zeepai realizing with his Death Grip, able to take Waz away from Looney, keeping him nice and safe, nice and healthy. And I like what Looney did there. He got interrupted, really reducing the amount of healing that he had available. Blizzo was in trouble, so he disactivated the Way of the Crane, and that way he can move in, use his melee abilities like the Rising Sun Kick and the Blackout Kick to get out the healing that he needs. So if he ever does get interrupted, having that as a safety net, definitely important. Waz could be in some trouble now. Full Polymorph once again secured by Raikou. He has been doing a good job so far, making sure he's at least landing some crowd control as Looney's forced to trinket out of the blind.
Ooh.
Now suscepting himself to, or very susceptible to that interrupt, as Raikou does nail one once again, but looks like Looney should be able to recover and keep Blizzo alive.
I think the big difference right now is Looney's mana. He's basically full, and Chaz is already down to half. So if Wildcard Gaming can stay on top of that and deny Chaz from regenerating it, I think they're going to be able to take this, and then Method Black may need to make another adaptation. And one thing we saw from North America yesterday was the Mew Mew Kitty Cats running that Paladin, and they were doing all-in strategies to kill the Windwalker, using the Blessing of Protection to remove the Touch of Karma. That might end up being maybe something that Method Black should consider, at least in this matchup. But then when they lock it in blind, they'll be so easily countered by Wildcard Gaming. It's going to be a very difficult series for Method Black overall. I wouldn't say that they've necessarily even got this game in the bag, and if they even manage to win it, they've got 2 swing matches they have to win. This is looking like Wildcard Gaming's day, unless their bad luck curse takes them down.
Yeah, Touch of Death as well as one Maledict being used by Blizzo onto Raikou, basically trying to solo him down at this point. Chaz denies with the Iron Bark as Zeepai just pressuring down Chaz. They really want to play into their win condition, which could potentially be mana in this matchup, especially if Looney can hold on to that precious mana bar and Chaz is forced to heal multiple targets. It's definitely going to be disastrous for Method Black. There's a small opening here. Blizzo with no trinket could potentially go down in a stun, but with this Fortifying Brew and Touch of Karma and being an Orc, I think it's unlikely they find the damage to take him down 100-0.
All right, Waz gets swapped here. There's pressure in multiple places, and look at Chaz's mana. Basically nothing. Full stun secured. Looney putting pressure on Chaz. Icy Veins gets popped. Raiku's trying to make a play. How much damage can he get out here is the question. They have to kill Blizzo 100-0 in 2 more seconds. 1 more second, they get denied. Zeepai's anti-magic zone saving Blizzo, allowing him to stabilize, and now it is go time. You've got such a huge mana lead. Wildcard Gaming need to play right on top of Method Black and just push them over.
Yeah, Touch of Karma gets used by Blizzo, potentially a little preemptive there. Looney wasn't in any crowd control, so might have been able to top him off, and I really feel like Method Black's damage did fall down, but we'll have to see if that pays off for them. Waz getting swapped too, as Chaz does stabilize the whole team, and I think Chaz actually sat down for a little bit of a drink there. Kidney shot secured on Zeepai. He uses the Icebound Fortitude. Now he is a vulnerable target in this matchup potentially as well. Raikou once again trying to deny the kill with the Temporal Shield, manages to do so, and he's been doing a great job in this matchup so far with Chaz, making sure they're perfectly rotating their defensive cooldowns anytime Wildcard Gaming is getting a good offensive push, and they have been able to hold on to those precious ice blocks for quite some time.
Double stun, Way of the Crane, interrupt secured, cross crowd control. It's looking good here for Wildcard Gaming. They get an ice block. They grip Chaz into the fight to try and mix it up and catch him off guard, then paralysis on his escape to switch targets to Waz to put even more pressure into the fight. Zeepai definitely an exposed target, but before dampening, is he really going to go down? Raikou now getting Maledict from the team of Wildcard.
Touch of death.
Multiple. Touch of death about to explode. Chaz gets Ring of Peace on his cast and stacked up onto the team. This could be devastating. Raikou potentially still on hypothermia, desperately blinking to safety in midfield. Temporal Shield well timed once again, but look at Chaz's mana in a very bad state. Maledict attempt, but now onto Zeepai. Can they take him down without dampening? Will he fall? Life Cocoon appears to be enough. They managed to at least crush through it. Chaz is looking like he wants to try and drink, but it's going to be an ice block for mana if he really wants to be able to make that. I'm not even sure if he's going to. Raikou gets stun locked. Zeepai connects. Blizzo moves over. Zeepai gets deflected for now. Surprising not to see him trinket and get a kill. They get the second block regardless, and now Wildcard Gaming have all the major objectives out of the way and still have the mana lead. And are they going to be able to just completely clean sweep Method Black? 7-0 total in the day?
It's definitely looking like a possibility. This matchup is definitely going their way. Currently 5-0 against Method Black in their 2 series today. Blizzo does manage to get the Fortifying Brew off, wants to remain tanky and not take too much damage from the thorns that Chaz has put onto Raikou. Raikou with a beautiful Temporal Shield once again before the leg sweep, keeps him alive, but Waz getting swapped to, in a lot of trouble. Fist of Fury, evasion still available, but he's holding on to it. Wants to sort of bait Zeepai and Blizzo to attack him, and if he gets too low, he can trade out the evasion to stay alive, and that buys Raikou a little bit of time to get topped off from some of the heal over time effects Chaz has. But Sid, Chaz with no mana left, what is he going to do?
I mean, it's not really going to do a lot. Raikou is just getting gunned down. All they have to do is stay on target, grip Raikou back into the fight, interrupt him on every cast, double stun lock. This should be a closed game at this point. Iron Bark is the last thing standing in their way, but even that doesn't appear to be enough as Zeepai tries to push him over the edge, and Raikou holds on by a thread. Temporal Shield now available. He manages to escape and at least stay alive, but staying alive is not going to be enough to put a win on the board, which they desperately need unless they want to be put on match point already. Wildcard Gaming just smacking Method Black around here today. Touch of Death rolling. Blizzo's trying to gun for a kill. Waz is low health as well. Blizzo gets cycloned. Good denial at least of some damage during this window of time. Chaz still with no mana left. They drop the Frozen Orb. Raikou tries to make something happen out of nothing, but there's just no damage to back it up. Waz is getting cleaved down. Method Black definitely have great survival instincts to be able to even stay alive to this point. I'm still looking for an opening. They've maybe found one with a polymorph secured by Raikou. Can they sneak it in?
Yeah, they definitely could. Blizzo's very vulnerable, and Waz, he actually has a Vendetta. Raikou has to hold on a little bit longer. Temporal Shield is used with the Iron Bark. I think Raikou can stay alive, and now Blizzo, he's in a lot of trouble. Looney with no trinket. If he gets polymorph, easily Blizzo could fall. Can Method Black do it? Blizzo has to hold on another 2 seconds for his Touch of Karma. If he can connect that to Raikou, he's going to be feeling relatively healthy. He holds on, but if he gets caught in a stun, still danger time for Wildcard Gaming.
And it's just going to be it. Raikou gets crushed, but Blizzo can get cross-killed with 1 more second left on that polymorph. Do they have any crowd control? Doesn't look like it. Wildcard Gaming up 3-0 and move to match point.
Waz gets uncaged just to get slapped back down, potentially to the bench. It's going to be Raikou who does fall, but a fantastic rogue mage. They find an opening, but Blizzo's going to be able to shrug off that pressure. Zika, what do you think of this one?
Well, it seemed a little bit desperate, honestly. The rogue mage, I mean, they play it fantastically, but we've been talking about it. You don't really have that same backup from the Restoration Druid due to those mana changes. You can't really play as aggressive as a Resto Druid, and honestly, the Frost Mage version of the rogue mage, you don't have enough damage really to be taking Blizzo down before at least dampening is in the game. So while it was a good effort from Method Black to stay alive this long and to kind of make some opportunities here towards the end of it, it just wasn't enough. And Blizzo's self-sustain and short amount of cooldowns, Zeepai's backup as well is just going to be too much for them to handle. And now again, I think this was a great map. I think Method Black played it fairly well, but I'm not sold here on what they should be doing. Maybe get the Fire Mage in. I'm not really entirely sold here what they could be doing because the composition, it seems like the tides have turned from Wildcard Gaming being the team that has to figure out how to beat the Demon Hunter DK to Method Black being the team that has to figure out how to beat the Mistweaver Windwalker DK.
They're getting obliterated right now. I mean, this is, you guys have already mentioned, like, this is so much. This is 2 series. This is, what, the 6th game in a row that they've been taking down. Method Black is not losing. They're getting absolutely destroyed.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question about it. Right now, Method Black, they have to try to figure something out. I think going back to the Rogue Mage Druid is a bit of desperation, honestly. This is not a favorable matchup for them, although there was a lot of close calls. They could potentially try to find some openings in the matchup, but I just don't necessarily think they are favored, so it's scary for Method Black. What are they going to do? They could take it to a small map. I think one of their best chances is go to a small map, run Windwalker Death Knight themselves with a Paladin potentially. That could give them the edge to sort of all in Looney and chase him down, maybe to put a point on the board, but things aren't looking great.
Sid, what would you do in this situation? We always, when times are desperate and you can't figure out the composition, it's always Sid who comes up with the wonky strat, and we always make fun of it, and then we see it, and all of the sudden, besides Affliction, we haven't seen it. But what do you think? What do you think? What do you want to see?
I think fire ass a Holy Paladin, counter comp the Windwalker, take one game at least with that. You can't blind lock that because Wildcard Gaming will immediately counter you. So at that point, you have to blind lock in. They should just mirror them. I don't think anything else that they've shown is better than that. Just maybe take one win on the board with some sort of Paladin cheese to try and counter the Windwalker, and then after that, just blind lock a mirror, because everything else that they've tried is not looked like it's going to go the distance.
ID Gara in chat says, just play 3 Warlocks. These are the strats that we're looking for in chat right now, because Method Black is desperate. I hope that they're in chat because they need to figure something out. Zico, what do you want to see them play? You already heard Sid say maybe even Holy Paladin might be the route here. What are you thinking?
I don't think Holy Paladin is the light at the end of the tunnel. I think we should be seeing chats on the Mistweaver, Demon Hunter Raikou, and DK Swapsy. I'm not sure how that matchup would even play out, but I feel like on paper they have that available. I feel like it should potentially be good enough, because that way they will have that extra pressure, they will have the mana efficient healing, but they will still have the mana rift in the bag. I really feel like the advantage that Method has over Wildcard Gaming is that they have a Demon Hunter on their roster, and it's Raikou who's really good on that Demon Hunter too, so utilize that. That's your biggest weapon here, I think, against Wildcard Gaming.
All right, well, we are going to see Wildcard Gaming not really having to worry here, and they're going to be going to Tiger's Peak. And now Method Black, this is their last chance to figure something out. You can see even the analysts saying, well, we don't really know what they should play. This is a composition that looked fantastic in NA yesterday, but now it's going to be played in a completely different way, and it's going to show just how strong it really is. And it's that really it is just the healer coming into its own, and Looney, I think, is one of the better monks as well. Was something that we've very much started to see.
Yeah, Looney on all his different healers is solid, particularly on the Restoration Druid, and that Mistweaver Monk has always done a really good job balancing offense and defense, making sure his team is always healthy enough to make those offensive pushes when they really need to. And Wildcard Gaming, we've seen them run Windwalker Death Knight a lot in the past, but they are looking really polished on it right now. This is something they've obviously prepared for. Method Black feeling confident in every single one of these different matchups with a great game plan in mind. And now Method Black, you can tell by how much time they're taking, they really don't know exactly what they should be doing.
This also might be foreshadowing for Never Lucky and Colo's revenge, as he's also got this composition prepared. So North America might be Colo's day.
Colo's just watching this comp, and he's like, yes, yes. He's like, I'm ready. But when you do look at Method Black, I think it is really important what everybody is kind of saying. This is the team that throws curveballs, not gets curveballs thrown at them. Swapsy lock. I feel like last time we saw...
It's been a while.
Yeah. It's been a real long time. It's been a real long time. How do we like this? This is obviously a conversation.
The last time it might have been Affliction.
Well,
that's a long time ago.
The last time I actually remember Swapsy playing, like I was trying to think of the time that we saw Swapsy play, and it wasn't even him. That's why I'm like trying to think back, because it was actually Fabio who was playing the Warlock, and he was playing Demo, and Thalkiel's consumption was still a thing, and he got destroyed. I remember it was on Tolerant Sewers. It was like a while back. It was a while back. I mean, that team obviously hasn't existed in quite some time. Yeah, I mean, what do we think of this here? I mean, this is something in the meta that we've seen quite a lot of, Zico.
It's not a bad matchup, I don't think. Again, the main difference here, I guess, compared to the Ellie Shaman that we've been seeing otherwise, is that every now and then you basically have the guaranteed force to make somebody run back with those Infernals, with the Dark Soul, empowering up your Chaos Bolt, and when you have that, you can force them back on the side of Wildcard Gaming and actually set up those drinks. But on the flip side, if you have an Affliction Warlock, you can easily run the Tiger Eye Brew on the Monk, and then if you wait until like 20% dampening or so, and you have a lot of mana in the tank on Looney, you can easily just run him over with Way of the Crane and all that Windwalker damage. If you do 2 or 3 pushes like that, combined with Maledict Trinkets, I could definitely see Swapsy going down. Before dampening, I could see Raikou also being forced into his Ice Block, and you know, that could be a potential way for them to also burn out Chaz's mana, having to heal such a squishy target. So I wouldn't say that this is a solid answer. I will, however, say that Swapsy on the lock is very solid. He's been rank 1 multiple times. He's competed on it for a long time as well. This is Swapsy we're talking about. He can play Rat, he can play Shaman, he can play Enhanced Shaman, he can play Warlock, he can play DK, he can play whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, the last composition definitely wasn't the answer either, so I do think that this is probably one of the better choices that you do have. And Swapsy is one of those people that I think we are fully confident can multi-class. I think he will be able to play the Warlock very well. This is probably something that's been in their composition kitchen for a little bit of time, and when we talk about multi-classers, we tend to compare them to Swapsy for a reason.
I'm actually kind of surprised that Method Black didn't go to Tolvaron Arena for this. I think he'd be even better than Tiger's Peak, but maybe the one problem for Wildcard Gaming on Tiger's Peak is that it's not going to be as easy for them to line of sight with the way the boxes are crafted. You don't have as much room to actually line of sight and run away, and maybe that's what they were afraid of on Tolvaron Arena. It's too easy for them to run away and hide from a lot of that damage and stall the game till dampening, which I think is going to be their main win condition. We've seen Wildcard Gaming not afraid to just hang out, LOS, wait till dampening gets high, and that's their moment where they can push in. They can exchange blow for blow with Method Black, and eventually the Mistweaver Monk will secure a mana lead over Chaz. And that could be their strategy, and that's the thing I'm most afraid of for Method Black. If they just wait till dampening, eventually I think Swapsy can easily be taken down.
And that's just this game, right? That's just the thing that you're concerned about in this game. They now need 4 wins in a row if they are going to be your winners of this 4th Cup for EU. And it's looking bad for Method. I think this is probably one of the worst days that we have seen for him. Obviously, they get 1 swift victory, but they may just lose 7 times back to 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 Wildcard Gaming. This team's looking nutty right now, and like Sid said, this may be a little bit of a portent as to what we will see in North America as well. This composition seems to be the new.
Method Black were in exactly the same position in a cup prior against Wildcard Gaming. They were on match point reverse sweep, and this is kind of where Wildcard Gaming's curse comes in against Method Black. They just can't finish the job. They get all the way where they need one more step, and then they trip, and then they fall, and then Method Black runs away with the rest of the series. So there is still an opportunity for that curse to kind of play here. I do like the parallels, though. This composition is something that the Super Frogs also have available in North America. So depending on how this plays out, could be maybe telling to the Super Frogs, saying, no, this worked for Method Black, and we should be playing it into Never Lucky. There needs to be some NA spies right now trying to check out the EU meta, because the compositions are lining up basically identically.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the teams that does that the best, though, is Never Lucky as well. I feel like that is kind of one of the teams that is really good at assessing all of the moving parts. I really do feel like if... I mean, Colo in particular is just one of those players who is very, very intelligent, but we got to pay attention right now to EU. If you were on Wildcard Gaming, would you try to sit on Swapsy? Is that going to be the route that you would attempt to take?
I think the best strategy for them, and I mean, we've only seen this matchup play out in tournaments, is just to sit back and kind of wait. They don't want to really be exchanging early on. Eventually, Swapsy will be susceptible to being taken down. Destruction Warlocks had a lot of self-healing available to them, and if you stay out in the open for too long, that's going to allow Raikou enough time to actually get crowd control on Looney, start building up his damage, give Swapsy an opportunity to land some Mortal Coils that they don't have trinkets for, they don't have defensive cooldowns for, and that's when Wildcard Gaming can really be susceptible to this composition. But if they just sit back, they hold on to the Diffuse Magic, the Touch of Karma, the Life Cocoon, Anti-Magic Zone, and they make a push with that, they can overwhelm Method Black and eventually take Swapsy down.
Definitely. Zico, how would you try to win this if you were Method Black?
Triangle formation. Again, have 1 wizard on each side. Have Chaz in the back. Throw AoEs behind the pillar if the Wildcard Gaming are just staying there. Try to force them out, or at least burn out some of Looney's mana. And then as soon as they push in, whoever is the free target, whoever is the goalkeeper, like we like to say, that person has to get crowd control onto Looney immediately and have the damage to back it up. It's very important to not throw your crowd control on Looney when you don't have damage to actually force somebody away, because if you do, then you will just put Looney on diminishing returns, which means he can't be crowd control again, which means that you are going to get a fat Way of the Crane later on as soon as he comes out, and that is going to hurt you more than it will gain you landing that CC in the first place.
One thing that scares me a little bit for Swapsy in this matchup is on his Elemental Shaman, when he gets gripped in, he's feeling safe. He can easily Thunderstorm, getting Ghost Wolf Kite away. If Swapsy gets caught out of position at a bad time, if he gets gripped in and they use a Ring of Peace to bring him out of line of sight, he doesn't really have much of an option as a Destruction Warlock. I mean, they're tanky, they're durable, but they don't move. That's not their specialization.
Yeah, you really just stand in one place.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, that's the ideal scenario to be in. Even when I play with Sid, a lot of the time, stop trying to move, man. Just stand still. Hey, whatever you can.
If you want to come to the gym with me, we can work on your legs, Rich.
I'm fine right here. Sitting right here at the desk, making puns. Definitely not picking up stuff and putting it back down again. But one of the questions is, are we going to see Wildcard Gaming absolutely bench Method Black? They are making this look like a rest day. Wildcard Gaming just needs one more to take the grand final.
All right, here we go, everybody. This is it. Can Wildcard Gaming break the curse 7-0 against Method Black in the day if they manage to pull off this potentially final game? Method Black are desperate. They went back to their Rogue Mage roots. That didn't work. All right, let's break out Swapsy Destruction Warlock, see if a Wizard Cleave can be enough to deal with Wildcard Gaming. But we've already seen that Wildcard Gaming knows how to manage their mana into the late game using the Mana Tea with Way of the Crane for big pushes. And they also know how to just avoid a fight until they have the opportunity to find victory. So it's up to Method Black to find a way to end this game. Maybe a counter kill right at the final seconds. A game of chicken as Wildcard Gaming push forward to try and get the final blow. They then reverse it and kill Wildcard Gaming amidst their push. And I think it's going to be that risky decision making that Method Black will have to employ to find victory here against Wildcard Gaming.
Yep, and this is a strategy that we saw the Pumpers implement against Method Black, is just sit back, relax, wait for dampening, and then eventually as that cleave, you can make that offensive push and really push through a lot of that Restoration Druid healing, and you really can't blame them at this point. I think Raikou and Swapsy, they're really difficult targets to take down, especially during these earlier stages of the game. Looney, susceptible to crowd control. If they do manage to land Polymorph into Fear, Blizzard with Zeepai could definitely go down. So it's not exactly a favorable trade for Wildcard Gaming early on, but later on, when Swapsy's self-healing is limited, or when Swapsy just pushes in and very offensive in a position like this is a chance for Wildcard Gaming to get really aggressive.
Yeah, Wildcard Gaming going for a kill early on here against Method Black. Is Swapsy going to choke? Are they going to fall? Is this Wildcard Gaming's day to finally take victory in the European region? Swapsy looks to reverse the pressure, dropping those Infernals, popping the Unending Resolve to go aggressive. It's a game of chicken at this point, but Swapsy is boldly going for it, connects one Chaos Bolt, not able to find a second. Way of the Crane completely nullifies that attempt from Swapsy. Now catching a Polymorph, unfortunately breaking a bit early. Unending Resolve and Iron Bark have already been used. If Wildcard Gaming can stay on target, Swapsy might fall early.
Yeah, definitely. Swapsy jumping down from that little platform, but Wildcard Gaming, they got what they wanted. If you look, Swapsy, his Unending Resolve, it's a 3-minute cooldown. Blizzo waits for your Touch of Death. Guess what? It's a 2-minute cooldown, so that's going to give you an opportunity when those cooldowns aren't lined up, and that's when Wildcard Gaming can get really aggressive. You just wait for the Way of the Crane, you wait for the Touch of Death, you make an offensive push once again, and that's when you can overwhelm some of that Restoration Druid healing. And Method Black, when Swapsy pushes in and trades out those defensives and offensives cooldowns, Wildcard Gaming is in a situation where they thrive.
All right, let's see how Wildcard Gaming want to navigate it here. They got one major objective, but before dampening, maybe they don't want to risk it. Maybe they just want to save mana, wait for the late game, and then just finish the job against Method Black. And this is where we've seen Wildcard Gaming in a position where they just one win away from being able to take out Method Black, and it just slips away. And maybe it's off the back of them playing overly defensive and overly cautious. It may just be the case that they need to go all out and find a kill. It's a matter of finding the timing on that push. They definitely need to push, but timing it is going to be key. And right now they're a bit reluctant, and that early advantage that they established is slipping away if they continue to decide to do nothing.
I mean, Are they really doing nothing? They're sitting back. They're not attacking.
They're doing nothing.
I mean, they're doing nothing except biding their time to a point in the match where they have more of an advantage. So, I mean, by sitting back and doing nothing, they're actually accomplishing their goal and playing into their win condition, in my opinion. Method Black has to be the one that has to play a little bit aggressive, but it needs to be Raikou. I just think Swapsy is way too susceptible to swaps. No pun intended with his name, but if he gets gripped in and swapped to, that's when these favorable trades go in favor of Wildcard Gaming. It needs to be Raikou that moves in, gets the Blizzard, gets the Frozen Ore. But this little platform with the way they're positioned, it's really hard for Raikou to even get that rolling. And yeah, Wildcard Gaming, they're playing it out intelligently. We've said in the past that they've sort of tripped on the finish line against Method Black. Right now, they're 6-0 against Method Black for the day. They want to win this cup. It'll be the first cup that they win this season, I believe. So definitely really important for their team.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how it plays out. I mean, Method Black may have flashbacks against the Pumpers, and deep in Dampening, it was Drainer's team that was able to overcome adversity and run them over in Dampening. So because of powerful cooldowns like Anti-Magic Shield and Touch of Karma, Wildcard Gaming can effectively immune the magic damage that is in the composition of Method Black, and while they are immune, they run them over with pressure and high mobility and support, with all three members adding in that way of the crane. So Wildcard Gaming are just going to wait for the ultimate dampening push and try to end this with one swift strike. Although right now their actions don't look very swift. They're playing it patiently, cautiously, lining it up, and then going to be gunning down for the win. And if they can manage to do it, they'll 7-0 Method Black, which is basically unprecedented. I don't think Method Black have been destroyed this hard ever.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair statement. Raikou moving in, as he basically needs to be the person to soak up a lot of this damage in this matchup, as he has Shimmer in order to escape, whereas Swapsy, he doesn't have that luxury. If he goes in, he's stuck. Not a lot of mobility options there for Swapsy. I'd actually like to see him reposition his gateway, and he did. If you look at the front of this little platform, there is the gateway, and that's where Swapsy can basically use that as a get-out-of-jail-free card. If they do grip him in, he can always go back to the gateway to at least escape a little bit and create some distance. But Wildcard Gaming, they are not afraid to play this out to the late game. They want to wait. But the question is, what is the right moment for them to push forward and actually try to start getting pressure? Because if you wait too late, Swapsy might be able to find an opportunity to really overwhelm you with the Unending Resolve, the Infernals, the Dark Soul. Things can get really dicey against the Destruction Warlock.
Well, it's going to be a game of chicken. And if Wildcard Gaming are afraid whatsoever or show any signs of weakness, then they could be overwhelmed during their push. So they've come all the way to this final point. They're going to play it out until the absolute last moment that they possibly can. And it isn't to say that they're even guaranteed victory at that point. They can't afford to slip up whatsoever with that final push. Currently, Swapsy and Raikou are closing in. Swapsy on the right and Raikou on the left. They've got Wildcard Gaming surrounded. Finally, some triangle positioning on the part of Method Black. I really think they need to realize deeper into Dampening that big wave push could overwhelm them. We do see Wildcard Gaming going for an attack here as Dampening ramps in. Touch of Death activated, desperately trying to pull powerful defensives. They get Iron Bark and immediately evacuate. One cooldown out of the way. Now they'll play safe and look for another opportunity later on.
Yeah, we only saw Swapsy, by the way, play Lock twice last year. Both times Affliction, both times an L.
Both times a loss, so not necessarily the highest win rate, but Swapsy in desperation mode coming in, playing this composition that they think might potentially work. That last exchange actually wasn't too bad. Blizzo committed his Touch of Death, and Chaz really only using the Iron Bark to keep him alive. Although he doesn't have a trinket, so potentially they could be waiting for Looney with the paralysis, with the leg sweep. That's a nice little crowd control chain that Wildcard Gaming has available to make a push onto Swapsy. But now, Swapsy, Raikou, they're positioning far away. They don't want to be exposed to getting death gripped in, getting susceptible to damage. Shaz just going to sit down and drink, looking for a reset, as we are at 17% dampening.
Basically, this game is going to play out for a 10-second period of time where anything can happen. And during that 10-second period of time, it could be foreshadowing for the Super Frogs versus Never Lucky series, as both those teams have similar compositions on their rosters. And depending on who ends up coming out ahead, could dictate the North American region as well. This Mistweaver, Windwalker, or Death Knight composition has been quite potent since the recent Restoration Druid changes on Focused Growth. And now with dampening at 20% and ramping, we do see Wildcard Gaming looking like they want to initiate an assault. Good crowd control, but Swapsy preemptively gates to safety right before the stun lock, denying an attempt by Wildcard Gaming.
Wildcard Gaming is very non-committal right now. They get the gateway from Swapsy. They don't chase him whatsoever. They seem to really want to just sit on this platform for as long as possible. But like I said, things can fall apart quite quickly here for Wildcard Gaming as well. You sit back for too long, not doing much, can definitely be scary. Swapsy getting gripped in, and this is a perfect position. Blizzo commits the touch of death, and now Swapsy, with no gateway, could be in a lot of trouble. Chaz uses the Iron Bark and the Thorns to try to redirect some of this damage, reduce it. Swapsy might have to trade out the Unending Resolve. Good Ring of Peace there by Blizzo, slowing down some of the healing coming in from Chaz as he's caught into a paralysis. Swapsy doesn't want to be too greedy with this Unending Resolve. He's getting lower. Chaz gets grip. Swapsy finally committing it, putting out a little bit of counter pressure if he can, but this is looking real good for Wildcard Gaming.
I mean, Swapsy's on the ropes here. He has nothing left, whereas Wildcard Gaming have many options to trade, and when they go for a push even deeper into dampening, what is Chaz really going to do other than throw his hands up in the air? He's not going to have any opportunities. In the meantime, Raikou tries to move in, gets a triple Frozen Orb with a spell lock backed up by Swapsy. I think Method Black have realized if they don't get aggressive and get a kill, they might just lose. Double interrupt combo by Method Black as they desperately try to put a point on the board. Denied on the kill, but at least showing signs of life here in game number 4. Will they go down 7-0? Infernals have landed. Swapsy wants to get a kill, gets denied on it with the leg sweep. Can they keep these Chaos Bolts from coming? Now they try to retreat across the map, but Zeepai, he's a Death Knight. He doesn't move as fast. They left him behind. He's trying to march his way around the side of the balcony, but these Chaos Bolts, Ring of Peace, denies one. Swapsy goes for another, gets at least one, snaring Zeepai up, but now able to duck around the corner. And now with the Infernal threat out of the way, if I'm Wildcard Gaming, this game's in the bag.
Yep, you've got the Way of the Crane, you've got Touch of Death coming up in 28 seconds. That is the moment where Wildcard Gaming could potentially close out this game. Swapsy positioning very far away on top of his gateway as all 3 members of Wildcard Gaming charge in. Looney caught into a polymorph. There could be trouble time here onto Zeepai. Has the anti-magic shell. Swapsy getting bursted down. Caught, do a full stun. Chaz commits the Iron Bark Thorns to keep Swapsy alive. Great counter pressure here onto Zeepai. It's a race to the finish. Swapsy getting lower. He's getting interrupted. Looney moving in, looking for crowd control. Nails the leg sweep onto Chaz. He's forced to trinket out. Now Swapsy in a lot of trouble with the touch. Maledix. Wildcard Gaming, can they really 4-0 Method Black? And yes, they will. 7-0 on the day, claiming cup number 4.
That is the most one-sided series, 2-series day that we've ever probably seen Method Black have. Wildcard Gaming just hurt their feelings, honestly, at this point. That was brutal. Seiko, how on earth was Wildcard Gaming, a team that, let's be honest, struggled quite a few times against this team? It was the one team that ever had their number. How are they able to take them down?
Well, they went to the composition kitchen and they cooked up a nice Mistweaver Windwalker DK, and there really wasn't a good answer here from Method Black for that composition. Method Black has been relying on their Resto Druid Demon Hunter DK to kind of carry them through victory time and time again, but finally they fall to the Mistweaver of Looney, and here we go. Method Black gonna try out that Desperation Mage Lock Druid, not going to work out for them though. Raikou playing a very defensive build. In general, also played kind of defensively in this matchup as well, but in his defense as well, as a Frost Mage, if you push him there alone, you're not going to be accomplishing too much either. Still, it just seemed very hopeless for them in general when they play the Cleave matchups. They tried a Rogue Mage, and then of course they tried this as well, which was kind of a low percentage play. But now all of a sudden, Method Black are the ones who has to go home, do new homework, figure out a way to beat this composition. And I think some of it is definitely because of the Resto Druid change that we saw this week. All of a sudden, the Mistweavers are coming in and winning 2 tournaments back-to-back here in Europe.
I mean, I think they need to do a little bit more than homework after that one. They need to figure out something completely new. That really was one of the most dominant wins we've seen against them, but they're still probably not too worried for the year. This is something that they can afford, and also they still got second place. Like, nobody else was able to go toe-to-toe with them, but to see just how dominant Wildcard Gaming was on the day, they play Method Black twice, and they take them down without dropping a single game. And if you look a little bit further back as well, Wildcard Gaming Gaming lose a single game in this tournament? It's like one of those things where all of a sudden they are just heating up. It's somewhat of the opposite of what we saw last year for the squad.
Look at Method Black as well on this graph. Method Black 3-0. They had a bye. No, they got 3-0, 3-0, 0-3, 3-0. 0-4 to the same team that they got 3-0'd by. So both of these teams didn't lose a single map to anyone except each other. Well, in this case, Wildcard Gaming didn't lose a single map to anyone, but Method Black also beat everyone except Wildcard Gaming. They're the only team that they couldn't even take a map off. So these two teams, I mean, well, you can say what you want about Method Black getting stomped here. They definitely did, but Method Black also, again, is that team that just beats everyone else.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they usually also beat Wildcard Gaming. I think that's the reason that we're so surprised to see such a dominant win. Like, I don't even think you're necessarily surprised to see Wildcard Gaming being able to pull out a win, but it's so crazy that it's so dominant because we have just seen these two teams be in a league of their own. We expect to see this matchup quite a bit, but look, Method Black, they're still chilling.
Yeah, they're doing an incredible job at 440 points. Still the point leaders in the European region, but Wildcard Gaming getting a little bit closer. One thing's for sure, both Method Black and Wildcard Gaming are looking very good for getting to that spring finals. But if you look, position 3, 4, 5, 6, those are also close. Even 7, this is still a really close race for those last two spots.